I told you it wasn't like that.
What?
How could you lie to me about this? Look what you've done.
My name is Adaeze Osagie, and I am going to tell you something tonight that I have never told anyone in full. I want you to picture Iruekpen. If you have never been to Esan land in Edo State, let me paint it for you. Red laterite roads that stain the hem of your wrapper by evening. Mango trees so thick and heavy with fruit in the season that the branches bend like old women carrying loads. A river that everybody in that village knew had a name, had a spirit, had a memory. That was home. But home was not always kind to me.
Come and buy
I was the only child of my father, Kingsley Osagie, God rest his gentle soul. My mother died the night I was born. She pushed me into this world and then she left it. The village women said she died with a smile on her face, that she looked at me once before her eyes closed. I have always held that, always, because for a long time, that was the only love I was sure had ever been purely mine. My papa, he tried. He really tried. He was a quiet man, a farmer with big hands that smelled of red earth and palm oil. He used to carry me on his shoulders to the farm and sing off-key songs that made no sense, and I would laugh so hard my stomach hurt. He called me Adam, my firstborn, my daughter. Even though I was his only child, he said it like it was the greatest title in the world. After Papa died, there was no discussion, no meeting where anyone asked Adaeze what she wanted, or what she needed, or whether she was afraid. I was bundled up like a piece of luggage, Papa's good wrapper bundled around his few belongings, me bundled among them, and I was delivered to Uncle Osaro's compound. Uncle Osaro, my Papa's younger brother, the man who inherited everything Papa had worked for, because there was no will, because this was the village, because that is how things were done. He received me the way you receive a bill you are not expecting. He looked at me, looked at his wife, Aunty Vivian, standing behind him, and said nothing, just turned and walked back inside. Aunty Vivian looked at me for a long moment. Then she said, "You will sleep in the kitchen." Let me tell you what my days looked like in that compound. I woke up before the sun, while Emeka, their son, my cousin, was still wrapped in his blanket on his proper bed in his proper room. I was already outside, sweeping the compound with a broom that was more stick than bristle. I fetched water from the well, I lit the fire, I started the morning soup. By the time Aunty Vivian appeared in the doorway, tying her wrapper and yawning, the fire was high, the water was hot, and my palms were raw. She would look around, find the one thing that was not perfect, and that would be her opening. One morning, I had swept the compound so cleanly you could eat off the ground, but I had forgotten to rinse the pot I used to boil the water. One pot. Aunty Vivian walked past all the perfect things and stopped at that one pot. "Adaeze." "Yes, Auntie." "What is this?" She lifted the pot with 2 fingers like it was something dead. I forgot to wash it, Auntie. I will wash it now." "You forgot." She set it down and looked at me with those flat eyes of hers. "You want to poison this family. That is what you want. You came here to bring us bad luck, just like your useless mother who couldn't even survive childbirth." Something inside me flinched. It always flinched when she mentioned my mother, but I had learned you did not cry in front of Aunty Vivian. Tears made her worse. "I'm sorry, Auntie." "Sorry is not breakfast. Go and wash it, and don't touch the eggs. Those are for Emeka." I went and washed the pot. I did not touch the eggs. Uncle Osaro was a different kind of cruelty. He did not shout, he did not insult, he simply did not see me. I could stand directly in front of that man and he would look through me like I was made of air. I remember once, I had been sick for 3 days, a fever that made my whole body feel like wet cloth. I could barely stand, but I still cooked, still fetched water, though I had to stop twice to hold the wall and breathe. In the third evening, Uncle Osaro came home from wherever he had been. He was the kind of man who always had somewhere to be, some deal, some scheme, and he sat down to eat. He looked at the soup. This pepper soup has no taste. I will add more pepper, sir, I said. He looked up then, right at me. For one moment I thought, maybe he sees me. Maybe he notices my eyes are glassy, my hands are shaking. He said, "Make sure you do." And he looked back at his food. I went to the kitchen, I added the pepper, and that was all. Emeka knew. I always believed Emeka knew that things were not right. He was about my age, Emeka, my cousin, a quiet boy with soft eyes who liked to read old newspapers and listen to the radio. Sometimes when his mother wasn't watching, he would slide his unfinished food towards me without saying a word, just push the plate close and look away, as if he hadn't done it. He never defended me, not once, but those small, silent gestures, I held them too, because in a place where nobody gave you anything, even a small thing felt enormous. One afternoon, Aunty Vivian was entertaining one of her friends from the church women's group. I was serving them, pouring the Malta drink, arranging the chin-chin on the plate, and Aunty Vivian was doing that thing she loved to do, that performance of generosity. "Ah, she lives with us, oh," Aunty Vivian was saying, gesturing at me with her hand like she was presenting a piece of furniture. "My husband's brother's child. We took her in when her father died, God rest his soul. We are managing, oh, God will reward us." Her friend clucked her tongue. "Yeah, so good of you. She's a lucky girl." I stood there, holding the tray, and I smiled. The smile of a person who has learned that the truth is not always allowed in the room. Emeka was sitting near the door. Our eyes met for just a second, and then he looked away, out the window, at nothing. I went back to the kitchen.
It was around that same time that I started noticing the bird. A small grey bird, the kind you see everywhere in the bush, the kind with a red spot at the throat like a drop of old blood. It started sitting on the windowsill of the kitchen every morning, right above where I slept on my mat, not afraid, not flying away when I moved, just watching. Birds don't watch people, not like that, not with that kind of stillness, that kind of attention, as if they are reading something written on your face. The first few mornings, I ignored it. The sixth morning, I whispered to it, "What do you want?" It tilted its head, and then it flew away. It always came back. And then, the dream started. I don't know how to explain the dreams to you except to say this. You know how most dreams feel scattered, half-formed, strange, the kind that dissolve the moment you open your eyes. These dreams were not like that. These dreams felt more real than being awake. Every night, I was standing at the edge of a river. Not any river I recognized, but I knew, the way you know things in dreams, that it was the river. The one at the edge of Iruekpen that everyone respected and nobody spoke about too loudly after dark. And there was a woman. She was made of water. That is the only way I can describe her. Her skin moved like a current. Her hair floated like weeds below the surface. And her eyes were the deep green black of a river that goes down further than anyone has measured. She never spoke in the dream. She only stretched her hand toward me, long fingers, patient. Every night, I woke up before I could take her hand. I was not a foolish girl. I knew the river had a spirit. Everyone in Iruekpen knew. We were taught from childhood, you don't throw rubbish in Oyaosa's river. You don't spit in it. You don't go near the shrine side alone after 6 in the evening. The river goddess was real, and she was not someone you bothered unnecessarily. Why was she reaching for me? I made the mistake of mentioning it once. It was evening, and Aunty Vivian was sitting outside oiling her hair. I came to ask if she needed anything before I started dinner, and the dream was sitting heavy on me. So I said,
because I was young and I still sometimes forgot that I was not allowed to be a full human being in that house. Aunty V, I keep dreaming of a woman in the water. She turned and looked at me with an expression I will never forget. Not anger, something colder than anger. Shut your mouth. Her voice was quiet, which was worse than loud. You and your nonsense dreams. Go and fetch water before I use this broom on your head. God in heaven, this girl. I went and fetched the water. I did not mention the dream again. I want to stop here and tell you, because you are wondering, I know you are wondering, did I not think of leaving, of running? Where would I go? I was a girl with no father, no mother, no money, no land. My father's property became Uncle Osaro's property the way the sun becomes the horizon at evening, quietly, completely, with no argument. I had nothing, and a girl with nothing running on a red laterite road with no destination does not end up somewhere good. So I stayed. I cooked and swept and fetched and smiled and swallowed the fire that was always burning just behind my ribs. And I waited, though I did not know what I was waiting for. I would find out on a Wednesday night. I had been asleep maybe 2 hours when something woke me. Not a sound exactly, more like a pressure, like the air in the compound had changed weight. I lay on my mat for a moment, blinking in the dark. The kerosene lamp in the corridor had burned low, just a thin orange thread of light under the door. Outside, rain was falling softly, the kind of rain that comes in the middle of the night without thunder, just steady and quiet and patient. I needed to use the outside toilet. I wrapped my cloth around me and opened the kitchen door slowly. The corridor was dark, except for that low lamp. I moved quietly. I had learned to move quietly in that house, like a ghost learning to disappear into the walls it already haunted. I was passing Uncle Osaro and Aunty Vivian's room when I heard the voices. Not raised, not arguing, which was why I stopped, because it was late and they were speaking in the deliberate low way that people speak when they do not want to be heard. I should have kept walking. Every sensible part of me knew I should keep walking. I pressed myself against the wall. Aunty Vivian's voice first, careful and precise. The Dibia said a virgin blood is what Oyaosa wants. If we give her willingly, the land will yield, the debt will clear, and our son's business will rise. Silence. Then Uncle Osaro and the girl. A pause. The rain kept falling outside. Aunty Vivian's voice, so steady, so calm, like she was discussing which market to visit tomorrow morning. She is nobody's daughter. Nobody will ask questions. I did not breathe. I am not sure my heart beat. The lantern flickered under the door. Shadows moved. Their voices continued, lower now, murmuring, the words dissolving into sound I could no longer separate into meaning. But I had heard enough. I stood in that dark corridor, my back flat against the wall, the rain whispering outside, and I understood with the slow, terrible clarity of someone watching a trap snapshot exactly what I was to this family. Not a niece, not a child they had taken in, an offering, and they had already decided.
Before we continue, if this is your first time on this channel, welcome to Mumxy, where we explore the mysteries of Africa. Like this video, subscribe to our channel, and join us as we uncover the majestic mysteries of Africa. Now, let's get back to the story.
3 days after that corridor, that dark, rain-soaked corridor where I heard my own family decide what I was worth, I knew. And knowing changed nothing. I did not sleep for the rest of that night. I lay on my mat in the kitchen, staring at the ceiling, listening to the rain thin out and the crickets return, and the compound slowly breathe itself back to normal. As if nothing had happened. As if my uncle and his wife had not just discussed me the way you discuss which goat to slaughter for a ceremony. By morning, I had made a decision. I could not tell anyone inside that compound, but there was one person on this earth who I believed might listen. Chukwemeka, Chuks.
He lived in the next compound, just on the other side of the low fence that divided our land from his family's. He was 21, a quiet and serious young man who repaired bicycles for a living and read anything he could get his hands on. He had known me since I was 15, and in that knowing, something had grown between us. The slow, careful kind of feeling that young people in the village carry in their chests because they have nowhere else to put it. He never said it, I never said it, but it was there. Every morning when I went to the backyard to wash the pots, he was usually at the fence doing something or pretending to do something, and we would talk, small talk, market prices, village news, the kind of conversation that is really just two people finding excuses to be near each other before the day pulls them apart. That morning, 2 days after the corridor, I went to the fence earlier than usual, before the sun was fully up, before the compound stirred. He was already there, as if he knew. I gripped the top of the fence with both hands and I told him, quietly, quickly, every word I had heard through that door. The dibia, the virgin blood, Oyaosa, she is nobody's daughter, nobody will ask questions. When I finished, Chuks was quiet for a long time. He looked at the ground, at the fence, at somewhere past my shoulder. Then he said, carefully, the way you say something you hope will land gently even though you know it won't. Adaeze, maybe you misheard. Your uncle is a respected man. Chuks, I held his eyes, made him look at me properly. I did not mishear. He opened his mouth, closed it, looked away. And that silence, that careful, cowardly, well-meaning silence told me everything I needed to know. I was truly alone. I went back inside and I started the morning fire. Because what else do you do? The soup doesn't cook itself, the compound doesn't sweep itself, and a girl with nowhere to run still has to eat. 3 days passed. Nothing happened. No one came for me in the night. No one behaved strangely. Uncle Osaro left early and returned late, as always. Emeka sat with his newspapers. The compound moved in its usual rhythms. I began to wonder, had I misunderstood? Had I been half asleep, my mind twisting ordinary words into something monstrous? Perhaps. I was still turning this over in my mind on the morning Aunty Vivian called me into the parlor. I stopped in the doorway. Aunty Vivian was sitting in her good chair, the one with the floral cushion she didn't let anyone else sit on, and she was smiling. Aunty Vivian did not smile at me like that, not with her full face. Adaeze, come, sit down, Ne. Ne. She called me Ne, my daughter. I sat down slowly, like a person lowering themselves onto ground they suspect might give way. I have been thinking, she said, folding her hands in her lap, that I have not been treating you the way a proper mother should. You are your father's child, and Kingsley, God rest his soul, Kingsley was a good man. You deserve better from this family. I said nothing. I watched her face. She reached behind the chair and brought out a folded wrapper, new, the kind with stiff fabric that crinkles when you shake it open. Blue and gold. Beautiful. For you, she said. I bought it at Ekpoma Market on Thursday. I thought this color will suit her. I looked at the wrapper. I looked at her. Every part of me that had survived 7 years in this house was screaming, quiet and cold and clear. This is not kindness. This is a costume. Something is wearing the face of kindness. But I took the wrapper, because what was I supposed to do? Throw it back? Accuse her? With what proof? With a conversation heard through a door in the rain that my own Chuks had doubted? I said, thank you, Auntie. She patted my hand. Her palm was warm, normal, human. Tonight I am making jollof rice, the proper way with the bay leaf and the smoky bottom. Sit with us and eat. Let me stop here for just a moment, because I know what you are thinking. You are thinking, Adaeze, why did you eat the food? You knew, you suspected. Why did you sit at that table? And I want you to understand something. Really understand it, not with your head, but with your chest. When someone has starved you of love for years, not just food, not just comfort, but the simple human warmth of being seen, being called by a soft name, being handed something and told, this is for you, when that has been taken from you every day for more years than you can properly count, even a fake meal feels like a miracle. Even a lie, if it is dressed in the colors of the thing you have always wanted, can slip past every wall you have built. I was 19 years old. I was hungry in ways that had nothing to do with jollof rice. I sat at that table. I ate the food. God forgive me, it was the best jollof rice I had ever tasted. I don't know exactly when it started. Somewhere between the second plate and the evening prayer, which Aunty Vivian led that night, which she never did, which should have been another sign I was too full and too warm to properly read, something began to happen to my body. A heaviness, not sleep exactly, heavier than sleep, like someone was pressing down on the inside of my skull with a warm, thick cloth. The edges of the room went soft. Emeka's face across the table blurred and then sharpened and then blurred again. He was looking at his plate. He was not eating. I noticed that somewhere behind the fog, he was not eating. Adaeze, go and lie down. You look tired, ne? Aunty Vivian's voice, warm, distant, like she was speaking from the other side of a river. I stood up. I think I stood up. What came after, I can only tell you in pieces, because that is how I experienced it. Pieces, fragments, images that floated past me like leaves on moving water. White. Something white being wrapped around my body. The smell of incense, sharp and ancient, the kind that makes your eyes water. Palm fronds, rough against my wrists, the scratching of them. Voices, low and murmuring in a language that was half Esan and something older, something that did not have a name I knew. Drumming, distant at first, and then not distant. Or maybe I was moving toward it. I could not tell. I was outside. I was being carried. The sky was the deep purple-black of late night, and the stars were very bright, the way they get when there's no lantern light nearby. We were away from the compound, away from the village. Aunty Vivian's voice close to my ear. Almost there. Almost there. I tried to speak. My mouth made a shape. Nothing came out. The drumming stopped. And then water. The sound of moving water.
I cannot tell you exactly how I became aware of where I was. Awareness came back to me in slow pieces, like a fire that has nearly gone out, finding itself again one ember at a time. I was at the river. I was propped, leaning against something on the bank of Oya Osazula, and there were torches burning around me, orange flames that bent in the night breeze and threw long shadows across red laterite and wet black stone. I could see faces in the torchlight. Uncle Osaro, standing straight, his arms at his sides, his face carved from wood. No expression, no guilt, nothing. Aunty Vivian, and this is what made my stomach turn, even through the fog. Aunty Vivian was crying. Real tears, or what looked like real tears, running down her cheeks as she pressed a handkerchief to her face. A performance of grief for an audience of gods. Emeka, he was at the back, half hidden behind his father. His eyes were closed. His hands at his sides were shaking. And the Dibia, I had never seen this man before. He was old, very old, with white chalk drawn in lines across his face and bare chest, and strings of red seeds around his wrists. He was speaking or chanting, a sound that rose and fell and rose again like something alive. In his hand, something glinted in the torchlight. I looked at the river, and she was there. The woman from my dreams, standing in the water, not on it,
In it, up to her waist, her skin moving like a current, her hair spreading around her in the dark water like something breathing, her eyes the deep green-black of bottomless water fixed on me. Not frightened, not hungry, waiting, patient, the way something waits that has been waiting for a very long time and knows with complete certainty that the waiting is almost done. The chanting grew louder, the touches flared. I felt hands, several hands, lifting me. I heard Aunty Vivian sob, a loud staged sob full of performance, and Uncle Osaro said something sharp to the dibia, one clipped word I couldn't catch. The river was cold. That is what I remember. The shock of the cold, reaching up and closing over my ankles, my knees, my waist. And then, darkness. Complete. Total. The kind of darkness that is not the absence of light, but the presence of something else entirely. And then, the river began to roar. Even in the dark, even beyond wherever I was, I felt it. A sound that was not a sound, a vibration that went through everything, through stone and water and air and the marrow of every living thing on that riverbank. Later, much later, Chuks would tell me what he saw from where he had followed, hiding in the bush, too frightened to come closer and too frightened to leave. The torches went out, all of them, at once, as if a hand had closed over every flame simultaneously. The river rose, not like a flood, not wild, deliberate, precise, like a creature standing up. The dibia, that old man with his chalk and his red seeds and his confidence, dropped everything he was holding and ran. He ran toward the Iruekpen road and he did not stop. They say he left Iruekpen that night and was never seen in Esan land again. Aunty Vivian screamed, not a performance this time, a real sound, the kind that tears itself out of a person's throat against their will. Uncle Osaro grabbed her arm and they ran. Emeka was already gone, had turned and disappeared into the darkness before the torches even died. In seconds, the riverbank was empty. Just the water, the night, the fireflies blinking on and off above the surface, unconcerned. But I was in the darkness, and the darkness was not empty. Something was in there with me. I cannot explain what it felt like. Not cold, not warm, not threatening, not gentle. It was simply present, the way something is present that existed since before the first human being looked up at the sky and wondered who put the stars there. It looked at me, and a voice, if voice is even the right word for a sound that you feel in your bones before you hear it in your ears, spoke. "We know who you are, daughter." A pause. The darkness breathed. 3 days after the night they took me to the river. I want to tell you what I remember of those 3 days, but the honest truth is that I don't. Not fully. What happened inside that darkness, inside that river, inside whatever space exists between dying and being returned, I cannot give it to you in minutes and hours because time did not walk the way it normally walks in that place. What I can tell you is that when awareness came back to me, it came back complete, fuller than before, like a cup that had been half empty its whole life and was now, without ceremony, without announcement, filled to the very brim. I opened my eyes. I was sitting upright in front of the Osagie compound gate. I did not feel wet. I did not feel cold. I did not feel the way you would expect a person to feel after 3 days in a river. My white wrapper, the one they had dressed me in for the ritual, the one that should have been soaked and ruined and probably torn, was clean, dry, pressed almost, the way fabric looks when it has never been worn. I sat with my hands in my lap and I watched the morning come. The sun was just beginning to climb. The red laterite road in front of me was still damp with night dew. A rooster was announcing itself somewhere down the compound row. Ordinary. Everything ordinary. Except me. A child saw me first. A small boy, I think he belonged to the Okundai family, 3 compounds down. He had come out early, the way children do, chasing something or going nowhere in particular, and he turned the corner of the road and stopped. He looked at me for perhaps 3 full seconds. Then he screamed and ran. Within minutes, there were people. Not a few, many, the way a village gathers when something has broken the understanding of ordinary things, quickly from all directions, pulling wrappers tight and murmuring and stopping at a safe distance. I could feel their eyes on me. I could feel their fear, which had a texture to it now. I will explain that in a moment. A warmth and a weight that I was not used to feeling from the outside. I sat still. I did not speak. I watched them watching me. Some people I recognized. Others I only half knew. A woman near the front was praying under her breath, her fingers working the beads around her wrist. A man had picked up a stick, not threateningly, just the way a person picks up something when they are frightened and need to be holding something. Nobody came close. And then the crowd shifted, parted, the way water moves around something deliberate. Ima Itohan came through. She was walking with her stick, that carved Iroko stick she was never without, and she was moving at her own pace, which was slow, and entirely unconcerned with the fear radiating off every other person on that road. She was old beyond counting. Her face had the look of a face that has seen many things and decided a long time ago to stop being surprised by any of them. She walked straight to me, stopped, looked at me with those small, sharp eyes of hers, the eyes of a woman who has spent decades looking at things other people look past. Then, Imai Tohan knelt down. Not slowly, not with difficulty, the way old people usually lower themselves. She went down with intention, and she pressed her forehead to my feet. The crowd went absolutely silent. She stayed like that for a long moment. Then she lifted her head, looked back at the people standing there with their mouths open and their hearts hammering, and said in a voice that carried without being raised, "She is not a ghost, she is a verdict." Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. I think even the rooster somewhere down the road had nothing to say to that. I will tell you what happened inside the compound so you understand what the God's return costs the people who made the offering. Uncle Osaro locked himself in his room. The door did not open that morning, not for the noise outside, not for the gathering voices, not for anything. He had heard, somehow he had heard, and the man who had stood stone-faced at a river while his niece was put into the water could not bring himself to walk out of a bedroom door. Aunty Vivian fainted. The first time, she fainted when a neighbor woman came to the door and said, "Your brother's daughter is sitting outside." They revived her with water and a damp cloth. She opened her eyes, remembered, and fainted again. The third time, they couldn't revive her for almost 10 minutes, and someone sent for the health worker from 2 streets down. Her voice when it came back was not the voice she had before. Something had gone out of it, the sharpness, the authority, the particular whip edge that she had used on me for years like a weapon she kept permanently in hand. It was still her voice, but it was different, smaller. She did not come outside that day. Emeka came. He was the only one. He came out of the compound gate about 20 minutes after the crowd had gathered, and he stopped when he saw me, and his face did something that I had never seen it do in all the years I had lived in that house. It broke. Not dramatically, not loudly. It broke the way something breaks that has been holding tension for a long time, all at once, quietly from the inside out. His eyes filled. His hands came up and then fell. He walked toward me slowly, like a man walking towards something he knows he does not deserve to be close to, but cannot stay away from. He stopped in front of me. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. "Adaeze," his voice was barely there. I knew something was wrong. I didn't eat the food because I knew, and I didn't say anything. I know, I said. He stopped. I know everything now, I said. Quietly, without anger, without anything really, except the calm that comes from the other side of something you cannot unexperience. He looked at my eyes then, looked at them properly, the way he had avoided looking at me, at anything for years, and something he saw there made him take one step back. Just one, involuntary. He wiped his face with the back of his hand and looked at the ground. I'm sorry, he said. I'm so sorry, Adaeze. I nodded once, not because sorry was enough, but because sorry was what he had, and I had learned in 3 days in a darkness that held more truth than this entire village had ever spoken, that holding on to the insufficient apologies of cowards is a weight that only punishes the one who carries it. Go inside, Emeka, I said. He went.
Let me tell you now what the goddess gave me there in the dark water, because you deserve to understand it, and because the story will not make sense if you don't. It was not what the stories usually see. No thunderbolts in my hand, no wings, no fire I could throw across a room. Oya Osa is not that kind of goddess, and she does not give that kind of gift. What she gave me was more ancient than fire and more dangerous than any thunderbolt. She gave me sight, real sight. Not the kind that sees what is in front of you, I already had that. The kind that sees what is underneath, the truth of a person, everything that lives beneath their face, beneath their carefully arranged words and expressions and performances of kindness. The real thing, the actual thing. I can look at a person now, any person, and know the lie they told yesterday, the motive they have dressed up as generosity, the fear wearing the costume of cruelty, the love hiding under the disguise of indifference, all of it visible to me as plainly as the nose on their face. It sounds like a gift, and in many ways it is, but you must understand, knowing the truth of every person you meet all the time without being able to turn it off, that is also a loneliness I cannot describe to you, because you can never fully trust a first impression again. You always know more than the moment asks you to know. The second thing she gave me was weight in my words. What I speak with intention, with the particular knowing behind it, settles into the world and stays. Not always immediately, not always in the way I picture, but it settles. Like a stone dropped into still water, it sends its rings outward, and the water does not forget it. I understood this the way you understand something the goddess has placed directly into the part of you that is older than your name, not learned, known. And I held it carefully, the way you hold a lantern in a room full of dry grass. Chooks found me in the afternoon. The crowd had mostly gone by then. The initial shock had spent itself, and people had things to do. And Iruekpen was a village that preferred to process extraordinary things from a safe distance and in private conversation. A few children still hovered at the edge of the road, watching me with the open, unafraid curiosity that only children have. I was still sitting at the gate, not because I was afraid to move, but because I was not yet ready to go inside. That compound was not somewhere I was in a hurry to return to. I heard his footsteps before I saw him, recognized them, the particular rhythm of Chooks walking somewhere with purpose. He came around the corner and he stopped when he saw me, and his whole face did something that reminded me that I was still, underneath all of it, a human being who someone had actually loved. He walked to me quickly, sat down on the ground beside me without asking permission or finding somewhere more dignified to sit, just folded himself down onto the red laterite earth beside me, and he took my hand. Neither of us spoke for a while. I followed you that night, he finally said. His voice was low and rough, like it had been through something. I was in the bush. I couldn't get closer. I couldn't...
He stopped, started again. I thought I watched you die. You did. And then you watched me come back. He tightened his grip on my hand. Are you still you? I considered that question seriously because it deserved seriousness. I'm still me, more me than I have ever been if I'm honest. They tried to erase me and gave me instead to something that knew exactly what I was worth. He let out a breath, a long, shaking breath that told me he had been holding it in one form or another for 3 days. We sat there until the sun began to move lower, just sitting, just the warmth of his hand in mine, the sound of the village around us, the ordinary beauty of an afternoon that I had not expected to be alive to experience. Sometimes, the most powerful thing is simply being present, in a body, in a hand, in a moment of ordinary peace on the other side of an extraordinary darkness. I held it. I held all of it. That night, Uncle Osaro's generator burned. It was the pride of his compound, a big, loud, expensive machine that he had bought 3 years ago and never let anyone forget. He ran it every evening from 6 to 10, and the compound glowed with electric light while the neighbors used their kerosene lamps, and he liked it that way. He liked the difference it made visible. Nobody was near it. No lantern had fallen, no wire had frayed, or if it had chosen this specific night to declare it. There was simply, at some point between 9 and 10 in the evening, a sound, and then light of a different kind, orange and total. And by the time people came out of their rooms, there was nothing left but ash and the faint smell of something that had burned completely. Uncle Osaro came out of his room for the first time that day to stand and look at what remained. I watched him from the kitchen window, still standing in the dark, this man who had handed me to a river, watching the ash of the thing he had been proudest of turn to nothing. I had not touched it. I had not gone near it. I had not spoken a word in its direction, but I had thought about it. Sitting in my kitchen, the kitchen I had slept in for 12 years, on the mat that was apparently good enough for my body but not for my dignity, I had thought about that generator, about the light it made, about the pride Uncle Osaro carried because of it, about the particular satisfaction of a proud man watching the thing he displays his status through turn to nothing. I had thought about it, and the gods had heard. I sat with that for a long moment, the knowledge of what that meant, the responsibility of it. I did not want to become a weapon, I said to myself quietly in the dark. When they put me in that river, that was not what I was asking for. I just wanted to live. I just wanted to matter to somebody. A pause. Outside, Uncle Osaro's footsteps crunched back across the compound towards his room, slow, defeated. But they made me a sacrifice. And when you give something to the kind of power that lives in that river, the kind that is older than the village, older than our grandfathers' grandfathers, older than the first person who looked at that water and understood it was alive, you don't get to choose what comes back. I looked out the window. The ash was still glowing faintly at its edges, red, like something breathing. They thought they were offering the gods something worthless, but the gods knew better. And now each of them will stand before that knowing. I closed my eyes. It was time.
Aunty Vivian's reckoning began with her voice. Not all at once, gradually, the way a fire goes out when you stop feeding it. Not dramatically, not with a final announcement, just less and less, until one morning you reach for it and it is simply gone. First, it was hoarseness. She blamed it on the harmattan, then on a chest cold that lingered. She went to the health center. They gave her lozenges. The lozenges did nothing, because what was happening to Aunty Vivian's voice had nothing to do with anything a health center lozenge has jurisdiction over. Within 2 weeks of my return, she could barely speak above a whisper. Within a month, she could not speak at all.
But here is what made it not just a physical thing. Here is what made the village fall silent when they discussed it. What made the church women who came to visit leave quickly and not come back. She could still hear herself in her head. Every word she had ever spoken, not as memories, not as regret, but as presences, standing in front of her, looking at her. Her own words returned to her, wearing the faces of the people she had aimed them at. That useless girl, standing in her kitchen at 2 a.m. She is nobody's daughter, sitting at the foot of her bed. Nobody will ask questions, waiting for her in the market when she turned down the wrong aisle. She began to see them. I did not need to be told this. I knew it. The knowing the river gave me showed it to me when I looked at her. She began to see her own words made flesh. And the mind, the human mind, is not built to stand that kind of reckoning for very long. She did not go mad exactly. That word is too simple. What happened to Aunty Vivian was more specific than madness. Her mind began to fray at the exact edges where cruelty had lived. The parts that had spent decades sharpening words into wounds, those parts went first. And what was left behind was a frightened, hollow woman who sat in her good floral chair and stared at the wall and sometimes reached out as if to push something away that nobody else could see. She had used her mouth like a sword her whole life. The gods simply took it. I felt no triumph watching this. I want you to know that. I felt the way you feel when a storm finally breaks after weeks of pressure in the air. A kind of relief, yes, but also a heaviness. Because Aunty Vivian, stripped of her sharpness, stripped of her cruelty, stripped of the armor of her awful mouth, was just a frightened woman. And frightened women, no matter what they have done, are not a satisfying thing to look at.
The dibia was found on a Thursday morning by a young man going to fetch firewood. He was sitting in the center of his own shrine, upright, facing the wall, alive, breathing, blinking, but present in no way that matters. Whatever had lived behind his eyes, whatever animating self had climbed into that body and moved it through the world and made its bargains and drew its chalk lines and pointed its knife at the water, it was gone, or somewhere so deep inside that it was not coming back to the surface. He never spoke again, not one word. His shrine, the physical structure of it, began to crumble almost immediately, not from weather, not from neglect. The walls simply began to return to the earth they had been built from faster than walls are supposed to, as if the land itself was reclaiming the space. Within 3 weeks, there was barely a wall standing. People said that even the forest spirits would not look in that direction anymore. I cannot confirm that. I only know what the riverside showed me when I thought of that shrine. A blankness, a void where a presence used to be. Like looking at an empty room where furniture once was. You can see the shapes left behind, the indentations in the floor, the lighter patches of wall, but the things themselves, gone. Some men make transactions with powers they do not fully understand, and when the powers turn to face them, they discover too late that they were never in the conversation as equals. I went to Emeka myself. That was my decision, not the river's. Oya Osa had no particular instructions for me regarding my cousin, which told me something important. His accounting was between him and his own soul more than between him and the divine. The divine had looked at Oyemeka and handed him back to himself, which is in its own way the most demanding thing that can happen to a person. I went into the side room, the room he had retreated to since my return, since his parents' respective unravelings had made the main spaces of the compound feel like rooms full of broken glass. He was sitting on the edge of his bed with his hands between his knees when I came in. He looked up. He looked older, not in years, in something harder to name. I sat down in the chair across from him. For a while, neither of us spoke. The afternoon sounds came through the louvers, a motorcycle, distant voices, the ordinary business of a village that had mostly gone back to its ordinary business and left the Osagie compound to work out its extraordinary situation privately. I need to tell you what it cost me, what your silence cost me, not to punish you, but because it deserves to be said out loud and you deserve to hear it fully." He nodded. His jaw was tight. I was 19 years old. I had nobody. I was trying to survive in a house that treated me like furniture, like something that exists to be used and ignored. And there was one person in that house who knew I was a person, who knew something was wrong, who once, twice, maybe more, felt it, knew it. "I knew," he said. His voice broke on the second word. "I knew, Ada. Let me finish." He closed his mouth. "I knew. And the night they put that food in front of me, you didn't eat it. You sat there and you watched me eat it and you said nothing. You watched them carry me out of this compound and you said nothing. For 3 days while this village thought I was dead, you said nothing." The tears had started on his face. He was not wiping them. He was letting them fall, which told me that whatever small redemption was available to Emeka, he was beginning to understand what it required. "What would it have cost you?" I asked. "To say one thing, one word, to knock on my door that night and say, 'Ada, don't eat the food, run, anything.'" "Everything," he whispered. "I was afraid of everything." "I know," I said. "I know you were. And fear is real, Emeka. I understand fear. I lived in it every day in this house. But you had something I didn't have. You had a choice, and you chose yourself." He put his face in his hands. His shoulders shook. I waited until the worst of it passed. Then I spoke, carefully, with the weight of the river's gift behind my words, measured and deliberate and true. "You will spend the rest of your life building what your father destroyed. Every person your family has wronged, every account left unbalanced, every harm left unaddressed, it will find you, not as punishment, as purpose. You will not be able to rest until you have done the work. That is what you carry now." He lifted his face, looked at me. "I deserve worse," he said. "Yes," I said, "but the gods are not cruel, only just." I stood up. He reached out and caught my hand just for a moment, just a grip, the way a drowning person grabs something solid. Then he let go. I walked out of the room. Behind me, I heard him begin to weep again, the real kind, the kind that is also the beginning of something.
Uncle Osaro took longer. Proud things always take longer to fall. They have more structure to them, more walls, more layers, more of the self built into the presentation of the self. Dismantling a proud man is not like toppling a tree. It is like watching a building settle into the ground one floor at a time. It started with the illness. Not dramatic. He did not collapse in the street, did not call for doctors from the city. He simply began each morning wet, soaked through, sheets and wrapper and all, as if he had spent the night in the river. Every morning, like clockwork. His body remembering something his waking mind refused to acknowledge. And every night, the dreams. He never told anyone what the dreams contained. He didn't have to. I knew. The river showed me. He was in the water every night, and she was there, Oya Osa, standing in her water skin, looking at him. Not threatening, not speaking, just looking. The way the truth looks at a liar, patient, unblinking, forever. His business, the land dealings, the transport arrangement he had been building with borrowed money and borrowed confidence collapsed the way these things collapse when the invisible things propping them up remove themselves. Partners stopped returning his visits. A land transaction he had been setting up fell through without explanation. The motorcycle he used for business developed a fault that no mechanic could diagnose or fix. Money went in directions he could not account for. Within 2 months of my return, Uncle Osaro was a reduced man. He came to my door on a Sunday morning. I heard his footsteps and I knew. The knowing told me who it was before the knock. I sat still for a moment, breathed, then I opened the door.
he was on his knees in the red dust of the compound. This man, this broad-shouldered, property-owning, stone-faced man who had received me at 7 years old and looked through me like air for 12 years, was on his knees in the dust, his face carrying the full weight of what 2 months of divine attention does to a person. He looked up at me. The look on his face was not the performance of remorse. It was not strategy, not apology of someone calculating what apology will cost and what it might recover. It was simply the face of a man who has run out of every other option and arrived finally at the truth. He said nothing for a long time, just looked at me, and the Sunday morning sounds moved around us, church bells from somewhere down the road, a radio, the smell of frying onions from a neighboring compound. Then he said, "I thought you were nothing." Not "I'm sorry," not "please forgive me," just that, the confession at the root of all of it. I looked down at him. This man who had signed my death the way you sign a land document, with a hand that does not shake because the signature means nothing to you personally. I looked at him and I waited for the feeling I had imagined this moment would bring. Satisfaction, triumph, the clean, bright release of being seen by someone who refused to see you. There was nothing. Not numbness. I was not numb. I felt plenty. But rage had left me somewhere in the river, and satisfaction, I understood now, is not something that lives on the other side of being wronged. It lives on the other side of being healed, and healing is not the same as watching the person who hurt you suffer. I had been through fire, I had been through water, I had been held by something ancient and true, and I had come back carrying a knowing that was bigger than the score between me and this compound. I said, "Get up." He blinked. "Get up, Uncle Osaro. The gods have already handled you. I have no business with a man that the gods have already judged." Something moved across his face, something that was not quite relief and not quite grief, the specific expression of a person who was prepared for condemnation and received something they didn't know how to hold. He wept. An old man in the red dust, weeping like a child who has lost something that cannot be found again. And it was terrible to witness, and it was necessary, and there was nothing in me that wanted to reach down and comfort him. But neither was there anything in me that wanted to stand over him. I turned. I walked back inside. I closed the door. Outside, I heard the sound of him slowly, heavily getting to his feet. I did not look back.
Mama Itohan came to me 3 days before I left. She sat with me under the mango tree at the edge of the compound, the old one with the roots that had broken through the ground around it like knuckles. And she told me what she had always known, that my mother had gone to the river the morning she discovered she was pregnant, that she had asked Oyaosa for a child who would matter, that the goddess had looked at her and said yes. "Your mother did not die," Mama Itohan said, in her slow, unhurried way. "Not exactly. She gave herself as the first offering so that you could arrive already marked, already held." I sat with that for a long time, the weight of it, the love inside the weight. She knew? She hoped, Mama Itohan said, the way mothers hope, completely, without holding anything back. She pressed something into my hand when she left, a small stone, smooth and dark, the kind that comes from a riverbed. It was warm, the way stones are warm when they have been held a long time. She said, "Carry it, not to remember her. She's already in you. Carry it to remember yourself." I have it still. Jukes packed a bag, not a big one. He was not a man who needed many things.
He stood at the gate of his compound on the morning we left with his bag over one shoulder and a look on his face that was the most honest thing I had seen in a long time. Not dramatic, not performing anything. Just a man standing at a gate, ready to go somewhere with someone he had decided mattered to him. "You don't have to come," I told him. "For the record." "I know," he said. "The city is not like here, and I am not exactly like before. It might be complicated." "Adaeze," he picked up his bag properly. "I watched you walk into a river and come back out. I think I can manage complicated." I almost smiled, something close to it. We walked down the red laterite road together, out of Iruekpen in the early morning, when the dew was still on the ground and the world had that clean beginning smell. I did not look back at the Osagie compound. I had already said everything that needed to be said there, and given everything that needed to be given, and taken what was always mine: my father's name, my own worth, my mother's prayer answered. I carried it all forward.